Sometimes the advantage don't pitch in. Sometimes the advantage think things are below them. Their title, their position gets in the way. They come with, apparently, you don't know who I am. I, for 12 years, traveled the country teaching walk through the Bible seminars, creation, fall, flood, nations, all that stuff. Remember, if you were at the conference this past year, Phil Tuttle did a session on that. For 12 years, I traveled around the country waving my hands. I had a lot of memories from those times. One time I taught at a lot of interesting places, a lot of Roman Catholic churches, Army bases. I taught at a Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina. And I spent the night on the base. And the next morning I went with the chaplain to the seminar site, the chapel, on the base chapel. We walked in and people were registering, standing in line to get ready to come into the seminar from 9 to 5, for teaching, listening to me talk from 9 to 5. And we walked in and the chaplain stopped in his tracks. He said, "Oh my goodness, look at that." And what I saw were tables with people registering, people signing them up. And there were letters like A to D, you got in line depending where your name was. And I said, "Well, what?" He said, "Hey, you see that guy right there in front, right of us? The little guy there? Yeah. The guy carrying the box and the cord." I said, "Yeah." He said, you know who that is? It's the base commander. I said, "So?" He heard I was coming. He said, no, you don't understand. He's standing in line. So, his name begins, I guess, with G or H. That's right. General somebody. He said to me, "Hey, Walt, they don't stand in line." They don't stand in line. Then he said to me, I guess at the foot of the cross. We're all equal. And I said to him, "You guess?" We had, our church purchased we had a new educational building built, and we had furniture, and it was a friend of mine who sold the church a bunch of chairs. And I was with Don after they made the delivery and all been taken care of. He said, I really liked the church. He said, "I'd never been over there before." I was really impressed. He said, "If you know the thing that impressed me the most?" I said, "What?" He said, we went over there. I went with 2 guys. We had hundreds of chairs. They had a lot of church staff helped us unload the chairs. What shocked me was your senior pastor was carrying chairs. I said, "So?" I'm not surprised. That's why I go to that church, because he's a chair carrier. He's not above people. He's not above people. He's a fellow struggler. How about you? Are there certain things below you? I don't do that. And I started this company 38 years ago. My name on the side of the building. I stopped carrying chairs a long time ago. Shame on you. Shame on you. Hey, excuse me, isn't that Raphael, the first kid? Excuse me, I could be wrong. He's got to leave, yeah. Hey, Nehemiah, write that down. Make a note of that. You know something? Everybody in the room has an advantage. When I read the definition, you said, "That's not me." Yes, it is. Some of you in the room are smarter than others of you in the room. I like to get in a scientific discussion with Bill Monk. It'll take about 10 seconds. And read what Bill studied in college and didn't know what that meant. So, some of you in the room are more creative than others. Maybe Bill Money's smarter than you. Maybe you're more creative than he is. Some of you are more experienced than others. You've been doing it a long time. You yawn about that. Big deal. That's what most of us do with our advantages. We yawn about. Some of you have more money than other people. God's blessed you. that way. None of them make you better, but they give you advantages. Your problem is, and my problem is, we think it makes us better. That's why we're not out there. We're with the Teakites over underneath the tree. Saying, look at those goofballs building the walls. Some of you have more winsome personalities than others. Some of you are better looking than others. I can tell that right from where I'm here. I can't. Those other things I can't tell. This I can tell. Some of you shouldn't run for office. Some of you have more common sense than others. None of those things make you better, but they might give you an advantage over somebody else. And God made all that possible with you. Well, what are you doing with the advantages you have to help promote the kingdom of God? Well, is it God's at work in the marketplace? Man, why don't you take this advantage? Jump in. And Louise goes, well, you play a musical instrument. We could, I'm a little rusty on that. And you have a tremendous ability in art. You could, but a lot of people can do that. It's no big deal. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You have a lot of room at your house, don't you? Maybe you could, it's a mess. You know the name Tony Dungy? Super Bowl coach. In fact, I'll be there on April 11th. I speak frequently at the church that Tony's a member, Idlewild Baptist Church in Tampa, Florida. And the pastor there, Ken Whitten, I did a men's retreat for them a couple years ago, and Ken, who's a friend of mine, he and I speak every November in the Dominican Republic. And Ken, who's been at the church is a church of about 21,000 people. And I spoke to a men's group there last January at a breakfast, and Ken walked up with a guy who was this wide, yay tall, African-American guy, and Ken wanted me to meet him. And Ken said, does he look familiar to you, Walt? Yeah, a little bit familiar. And he told me his name, which I didn't recognize. He played Michael Orr in Blindside. He's a solid believer. And I met Michael, of course Michael plays for the Carolina Panthers. But it's quite a church, Iowa. Well, Tony goes there. And Ken said he always remembered a time he can tell you a lot of Tony Dungy stories. They had a choir coming. Tony's coaching the Tampa Bay Braves at the time. He's fairly busy as the head football coach of the Tampa Bay team before he got fired and went to Indianapolis. And John Gruden took the team he had and won the Super Bowl with it the next year, but that's another story. It's an axe I'm continually grinding. Tony won his own Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. But Ken said that they said, if you folks, we're going to the big choir's coming, Wheaton College or somewhere. We're looking for homes for them to stay. So there's going to be a sign up. Maybe you'd be interested in having a couple of the students stay at your house for the night, entertain them. You know what I'm talking about? And Ken said, well, I looked over, standing in line about 3 or 4 deep was Tony and his wife. And Ken said, I said, Tony, what are you doing over here? He said, we're very fortunate financially. I make a good salary. We have a big home. They signed up 8 kids, come to the Dungy house. I love things like that. You know, there's a man in the church whose son was on the verge of suicide. You know, Tony's son killed himself. This man, Tony Dungy's an NFL coach. He's busy. And this man said to Tony, would you have a chance to call my son on the phone and talk to him? Tony said, I'd be happy to. And Ken said, he called the kid. He said, hi, I'm a friend of your dad's. My name's Tony. And he said, I just wanted to talk to you. And they had a nice conversation. And Tony said, would you mind if I called you back in a couple more days? He's the coach of the Tampa Bay Braves. He said, sure. So he called him back, and they had a nice conversation. They got to know each other over the telephone. Finally, the kid said to Tony, by the way, Tony, what do you do? He said, I'm a coach. He said, what do you coach? He said, I coach football. He goes, oh, that's nice. He's a coach at the Tampa Bay Rays. I love to see people who, see, God wouldn't have just said Tony Dungy, he would have said Tony Dungy, who, by the way, is the coach, like I've been said to you already 7 times, in the Tampa Bay Rays. Does that make Tony better? He'd be the last person to say he was better. But he has some advantages. One was a tragic advantage that his son took his life, but he was able to help that kid. Or he had an advantage of a big home, and God had given him a good salary. Well, what are you going to do? Let the kids come. It will take 8 of them. 8 of them? Yeah, wow. You all sitting here have advantages of some kind. Hey, is that who I think it is working down there? Wow. Hey, Nehemiah, make a note of that. God keeps records. Let me give you a third A. If you look at Nehemiah chapter 3 and verse 20, there's something you'll find there. You won't find it anywhere else in the chapter. It says, after him, Baruch, the son of Zabai, diligently repaired the other section. Now there's a word there, it's an adverb. The chapter will tell you who built, where they built, what they did when they weren't there. Nowhere in the chapter, nowhere does it tell you how they built, except right there. And it's interesting to me, maybe it's not for you. Now, I've taken that word, zealously. You can read earnestly in certain translations. There is one version of the Bible that's very popular today that does not use an adverb, so I declared off of that particular version. Because I took that one word, I made a 4-part study out of it called Standing Out in the Crowd. Because I looked at that verse and I said, this guy stood out. He's the only guy. Nehemiah felt inclined to tell you how he built. And I asked myself this question, I wonder why. And I guessed. And I teach a 4-part seminar on why I think, could it be that this guy, because you know what I did? I said, I've built a lot of things with a lot of people. I think I know what makes a positive contributor to a building project. And when that person brings that positive contribution, I want to work with them. Well, what did they bring? And in my seminar, I guess 4 things that I think are important that help you build. And by the way, I also say the negative. If you don't bring these things to the building process, I don't mean to be unkind, but I don't want to work with you. I really don't. Go work somewhere else. It's called standing out in the crowd.